side cover of your program. The words are in Arabic and in English transliteration. I am a great believer that national anthems should always be sung. There will be a moment of silence while the machinery warms up. Just to learn to be a parrot and recite a silly rule. If growing up means it would be beneath my dignity to climb a tree, I'll never grow up, never grow up, never grow up. Not me. I won't grow up. I don't want to wear a tie or a serious expression in the middle of July. And if it means I must prepare to shoulder burdens with a worried air, I'll never grow up, never grow up, never grow up. So there, never gonna be a man. I won't like to see somebody try and make me, anyone who wants to try and make me turn into a man. Catch me if you can. I won't grow up. Not a penny will I pinch. I will never grow a mustache, or a fraction of an inch, 'cause growing up is awfuler than all the awful things that ever were. I'll never grow up, never grow up, never grow up. No, sir. And Neverland will always be the home of peace and joy and liberty. I'll never grow up, never grow up, never grow up. Not me. So there. Good evening and welcome to Father John in concert. I'm Father John. Juju, let 'em in! See, it says in the program that latecomers will be held until an appropriate moment. No, are there no latecomers? Okay, that's good news. Hey, welcome everybody. But we take things seriously, and you may have noticed that in all of the publicity for this event, and on your tickets, and on the front page of your program, it says that nobody is allowed to use their cell phones. Not for texting, not for reading, not for anything. If you don't put it away, you will be asked to leave. You are not allowed to use your cell phones for a couple of reasons. One, it's distracting. It's rude. It means you'd sooner watch your text than me, in which case, God love you, goodbye. It's also distracting for the other people in the audience. I'm sure we have all been in a concert and we're sitting in this beautiful music and somebody in front of you goes, ah! Well, since it's my house, I get to make the rules. And I've done it with photographers. There are videos of concerts where I had said, no flash photography. And somebody did, and I threw them out. Now, you may have noticed there's a very handsome gentleman down here in the front with a camera. He works for the Jordan Times. He's here with permission. He even, although he knows I don't love it, he even has permission on occasion to get up and move if he feels he really wants to. Which is a mark of the high respect I have for the Jordan Times, because they can't do that. You will also notice that there are 2 video cameras in the house, and they belong to me, and they are here to photograph the concert so I can look at it afterwards and see how I did. Just for the record, I am paying for those cameras out of my own pocket. The money that we raise tonight that goes for the Care for the Poor project at Sacred Heart Parish does not pay for those cameras, just to be on the record, okay? That song, you like my dress? A lot of modern priests now don't have these. I had this one made for me when I was in Nigeria for a show, as it turned out, but I've used it a lot since. That first song that I sang was from Peter Pan. First Broadway musical I ever saw. Mary Martin, Cyril Richard, magic. We had moved to New Jersey at that point, but my grandmother still had the apartment in New York City. And it was a matinee performance, and after the show, we went back to the apartment. It was winter time, so it was dark. And I went off into the guest bedroom, the side bedroom, and I sat down on the bed nearest the window. And I cried, and I cried, and I cried, because that beautiful thing was happening that night. And I was never going to see it again. And I cried like my heart was breaking. And that was the night I fell in love with theater. Fortunately, my family, my grandparents and my parents loved theater, so I got to see a lot of plays. And the next big play that I saw was My Fair Lady. Now, I want to tell you, in 1956, tickets to My Fair Lady, people were selling their firstborn children to get tickets to My Fair Lady. My grandmother had a ticket man. We sat in the front row of the mezzanine, and I loved it. Now, in those days, before I went to see a show, my parents would buy me the music, the album, the records. Records, when I say album, it was a box with 45 RPM records, you know, the little ones with the big holes in the middle. So I used to know all the songs before I saw the show, but there was a song, and before we got the albums, it appeared on the radio. And I heard this song once, and I knew it. I knew the melody, I knew the words, I never had to learn it. That's never happened to me with any other song. But that was a song from My Fair Lady, and I'm going to sing it now, because I can, and because I so seldom get to sing love songs. I have often walked down this street before, but the pavement always stayed beneath my feet before. All at once am I several stories high, knowing I'm on the street second you may suddenly appear, people stop and stare, they don't bother me, for there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Let the time go by, I won't care if I can be here on the street when you live. And oh, the towering feeling, just to know somehow you're near. The overpowering feeling that any second you may suddenly appear. People stop and stare, they don't bother me, for there's nowhere else on earth that I would rather be. Let the time go by, I won't care if I can be here on the street where you because when I timed out this show, it went for just about an hour and a half. Yay! And then I realized that didn't count the applause. So if we have a lot of applause, it's going to go too long, and I'm going to have to cut other songs. So you choose. My Fair Lady was a great show. Rex Harrison, Julie Andrews, Stanley Holloway, Robert Coote as Pickering, and as somebody who even at that age, 10 or 11, I knew I wanted theater, I wrote fan letters to all of them. And in those days, they all wrote back. I got a letter from Rex Harrison, from Julie Andrews, and Robert Coote wrote a handwritten note on New York Athletic Club stationery. Well, my grandfather had gone to the New York Athletic Club, so I immediately wrote back and said, did you know my grandfather? Well, he didn't, but he knew somebody who did. And so we wrote back and forth with Robert Coote. He was English. But when he came to do shows in New York, he lived at the New York Athletic Club. Well, after a while, I got a letter from him, and he said he was coming back to New York to be in a musical called Camelot. Richard Burton, Robert Goulet, Julie Andrews. Did I want to come into a rehearsal? Well, of course I did. So I went in and I spent the day with the Camelot cast. And one of the stories I heard that day, when they first started rehearsal, Julie Andrews had to intervene because Robert Goulet and Richard Burton weren't talking to each other. They'd read around the table, and then one of them would get up and go this way, and one of them would get up and go that way. And finally, Julie Andrews said, that's enough. And she took Bob Goulet by the hand, and she literally walked him over to Richard Burton and said, now you two talk to each other. The problem was, Bob Goulet was a great Canadian baritone, one of the world's great singers. And he was going to have to act on stage with Richard Burton, one of the best actors of our age. At the same time, Burton, who was one of the best actors of our age, was going to have to sing on stage with Bob Goulet. They were scared of each other. This is a song that Richard Burton sang in that show. And whatever it was he did, they called it singing, and I'm going to share it with you. Flatter her, I begged him answer. Do I threaten or cajole or plead? Do I cry or play the game romancer? there's a way, I will tell you, son. The way to handle a woman is to love her. Merely love her. Simply love her. Love her. Love her. A way known by every woman since the whole rigmarole began. Do I flatter her? I beg him answer. Do I threaten, cajole, or plead? Do I cry or play the gay romancer? Said he laughing, no indeed. How to handle a woman? There's a way, I will tell you, son. The way to handle a woman is to love her. Merely love her. Simply love her. Love her. Love her. But years passed, and Richard Burton was back in New York, and he was doing Hamlet. So I went to see it. And before the play, I sent my business card around with a note on the back. You won't remember me, but I met you with Bob Coote at a Camelot rehearsal. I'd love to come backstage. So after the show, I went to the stage door, and oh yes, my name was on the list. So I got to go into Mr. Burton's dressing room. And there were only about 2 or 3 people there. I thought it would be, you know, Subway Car City. And so after a bit, he says, well, look, some of the lads and I are going to go out for a drink. You want to come? Do I want to go drinking with Richard Burton? Well, of course I did. Fast forward. It's about 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the morning. We are all drunk. Mr. Burton is more drunk than the rest of us, but he had more practice. We are on a little joint on 8th Avenue between 43rd and 44th Street. And it was a long, narrow bar, and in the back of it was one of those big round tables with a bench that curves around it. And we are all leaning heavily on the table. Now, this is the guy who was scared to sing with Bob Goulet, right? And he starts telling stories about growing up in Wales and the songs his father sang to him. And he starts singing. And even through my drunken haze, I can remember thinking, oh dear God, why is this not being filmed? Because we didn't have videos in those days, right? But it was one of those great, beautiful moments. And I wish I could share it with you. And then we all got up and I went down and got the 6 o'clock bus back to New Jersey and slept for most of the rest of the day. I had a very interesting life. I got to meet a lot of interesting people along the way. Some became friends, some just passed in the night. The great opera singer Richard Tucker was one that I got to know. And he taught me this song. Now, I don't sing it the way he does, but since I'm in this particular dress and in a particular state of life, this is from a play called Green Willow, and it's called Never Will I Marry. Well, yeah, that's pretty safe. But I give it a slightly different reading. Any flimsy, dimsy, looking for true love, better mind me no good, dearie, good day. Any flimsy, dimsy, looking for true love, better look, looking some other the way. For my kiss can be no nevermore promise, but a fancy dancing fiddle and free. Any flimsy dimsy looking for true love, better waste no time on me. Never, never will I marry. Never, never will I wed. Born to wander, solitary, wide my world, narrow my bed. Never, never, never will I marry. Born to wander till I'm dead. No burdens to bear, no conscience, no care, no memories to mourn, no yearning, for I was born to wander, solitary, wide my world, narrow my bed. No burdens to bear, no conscience or care, no memories to mourn, no yearning, for I was born to wander, solitary, wide my world, narrow my bed. Never, never, never will I marry. Born to wander till There was a great American entertainer on television named Jackie Gleason. Periodically, he would show up with a coffee cup. Nobody believed there was coffee in it. One of the great moments in my life was in 1967. I met Charles Redding. Charles was a voice teacher. Charles had been the assistant to Giuseppe De Luca when De Luca was the great baritone at the Metropolitan Opera. And then later, when Giuseppe De Luca was teaching, Charles was his assistant. And Charles then went on to become a teacher in his own right. He was my teacher from 1967 until his death in 2010. God gave me a voice. I was a boy soprano. I sang at Radio City Music Hall, did all sorts of things. Charles taught me what to do with my voice. And every time I sing, I am grateful to him. Over the years, we had one song that became our exercise song. And I've probably sung this song thousands of times. Nasal, bass, tenors, falsetto, fast, slow, high, down there. I mean, this was our exercise song. When he wanted to teach me something about how to use a voice, this was what we went to. Now, somebody had asked me when I said I was singing a concert, they said, "Oh, Father, 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 are you going to sing religious songs?" I said, "Oh, God, no." Get that, oh God, no, yeah. But since I'm in this suit, this song seemed appropriate for a number of reasons. Clothes on under here. I may not be able to see much without my glasses, but I can see panic, fear, embarrassment. One of the things that I discovered early on when I went to New York to be an actor was I was a tenor. I knew that. I didn't discover that. But I realized that tenors are lovers and princes and heroes. Thank you. And I realized if I was going to work, I better develop the middle range of the voice, which is baritones and basses, and those are the guys who are villains and uncles and fathers and that. So one of the things we worked on with Charles was developing voices that could get me work. This is, quite frankly, a show-off moment. For a tenor to sing this song, so we'll see what happens, all right? This is a Nigerian shirt, by the way. I got it when I lived in Nigeria. And this is a song sung by a black guy, so it's the closest I could come. Let me interrupt this. I'll go back and start again. You folks in the back, is the balance all right between the accompaniment and the singer? I mean, it sounds great up here, but...
Yeah.
It's all right?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. The verbal was more helpful than the waving because I don't have my glasses on. Black folk all works under Mississippi. Black folk all works while the white don't play. All in them bills from the dawn to sunset, getting no rest till the judgment day. Don't look up and don't look down. You don't dast make the white boss frown. Bend your knees and bow your head and lift them bales until you're dead. Let me go away from the Mississippi. Oh, let me go away from the white man boss. Show me that stream called the River Jordan. That's the one stream that I longs to cross. Old Man River, that old man River, he must know something. He don't say nothing. He keep on rolling. He keep on rolling along. We don't plant potatoes, don't plant cotton, and them would plant some and soon forgotten, but old man River, he just keep rolling along. You and me, we sweat and strain, body all aching and racked with pain. Lift that barge, you touch that bear, you get a little drunk and you land in jail. I get weary and sick of trying, as tired of living and scared of dying. But old man River, he just When I went to New York, my first professional job was singing Gilbert and Sullivan with the Light Opera of Manhattan. Now, for somebody like me, that wasn't a laugh line. What? No, for somebody like me, Gilbert and Sullivan is a wonderful thing because there are lots of roles for funny little men. And if I am nothing else, I am a funny little man. This is from the Mikado. Coco the tailor is trying to convince Katushaw to marry him, because if he doesn't, the Mikado will cut off his head. This is what you call incentive. Now, in the Catholic Church, that would not be a valid marriage because he was coerced, but Gilbert and Sullivan weren't Catholic, so that was all right. And it was Japanese, so that's all right. And a tree by a river, a little top tit, saying willow, tit, willow. And I said to him, Titty bird, why do you sit, singing willow, tit, willow? Is it weakness of intellect, birdie, I cried, or a rather tough word on your little inside? With a shake of his poor little head, he replied, oh, willow, tit, willow. It's really very sad. Well, he slapped at his chest as he sat on that bough, singing willow, tit, willow. And a cold perspiration bespangled his brow. Ah, willow, tit, willow. He sobbed and he sighed, and a gurgle he gave, and he plunged himself into the billowing wave, and an echo arose from that suicide's grave. Ah, willow, tit, willow. I knew the bird myself. Now I feel just as sure as I'm sure as me name isn't willow, tit, willow. That 'twas blighted affection that made him exclaim, ah, willow, tit, willow. And if you remain callous and obdurate, I shall perish as he did, and you will know why. Though I probably shall not exclaim as I die, ah, willow, tit, willow. Oh my, okay, here we go. I sang this song in a bar once. I was doing a show in a bar. I wasn't just drunk and burst into song. And I announced and I said, now this next song is from an opera. No, we don't. Guys, trust me. The minute it starts, you're going to know it. Think Bugs Bunny. And at the end, there's a little bit, if you want to sing along, you can sing along. And that's true for you too. When you get to the end, if you know it, join in. For this song, the shirt is appropriate. For years, I had short hair. I first of all had spine surgery, then I had a motorcycle accident, and combing my hair was, forget about it. And I just decided for this concert I was going to grow my hair. It may not last. You ready? We'll find out if I am. See? No. La la Oh, che bel vivere, che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità. Oh, bravo Figaro, bravo, bravissimo, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità, bravo. La 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 la. Fortunatissimo per verità. Fortunatissimo per verità. La 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 la. La nati il giorno sembri di tonno e lo sta mica cuccando per un barbiere perchino veleno non si dà rasori femmini lanci di forbici al mio comando dove questa lanci di forbici rasori femmini al mio comando dove questa bella risorsa vuoi da mestiere Calla donnetta col cavaliere con la donnetta la 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 col cavaliere la 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 che bel vivere che bel piacere per un barbiere di qualità. Tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono. Donna ragazzi, leggi fanciulle, qua la parrucca, questa la barba, qua la sanguigna. Questo mi chiedono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, tutti mi chiedono, tutti mi vogliono, qua la parrucca, presto la barba, presto mi chiedono. Figaro, che furia in me, che folla, una volta per carità, una volta per carità. Figaro, son qua, Figaro, son là, Figaro qua, Figaro là, Figaro qua, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, Figaro giù, Figaro su, prendo fortissimo, sono nel volmine, sono del corpo, dalla città, dalla città, dalla città, dalla città, dalla città. This is the bit where you can sing, Joe. Bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo, bravo Figaro, bravo bravissimo, della fortuna, mancherà. La 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 la. A te la fortuna, mancherà. Sono il racconto della città, sono il racconto della città, nella città, nella città, nella città. A little visual variety, I'm going to change out of this shirt into another shirt. If you are easily depressed, excited, you might want to close your eyes. Having a beard is always an interesting thing. I, for many years, had a great big full beard, and I sold it. I was raising money for the Xavier Society for the Blind. We had a silent auction, and I sold my beard. I auctioned it off. I got $5,000 to shave my beard. Nobody knew who I was. In the Jesuit residence where I lived for years, people kept coming up and introducing themselves. I also discovered that once I shaved my beard, my dry cleaning bills went way up. Well, if I spilled something, it never got to my tie. And it was kind of fun because late in the day when you were feeling a little peckish, you could... Somehow guys laugh and women go, oh, disgusting. And this is all going to be on video, right? Yeah. Well, one of the fun things about having a beard was Fiddler on the Roof. And I did 3 tours of Fiddler on the Roof. And in every tour, I understudied Tevye. I was Laser Wolf the Butcher. I was the Russian constable. I did all sorts of little bits. We had great times. I never got to do Tevye once. Such a healthy bunch of Tevyes you've never seen. So I've learned all of these songs, and I did them in rehearsal on a regular basis, but the only time I get to do them is in concert. And so you're going to get a song from Fiddler on the Roof. And I've done, you know, I said God wasn't going to be a part of the show, but God keeps sneaking in. As you know, I'm a Jesuit priest, and I have vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience. And I sang a song about chastity, Never Will I Marry. And this is, I guess, kind of a song about poverty. If I were a rich man. All right, here we go. If I were a rich man, if I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work. All day long, if I were a diddle-daddle man, I'd build a big tall house with rooms by the dozen right in the middle of the town. A great tin roof with real wooden floors below. There would be one long staircase just going up, and one even longer coming down, and one more going nowhere, just for show. I'd fill my yard with chicks, turkeys, geese, and ducks for the town to see and hear, squawking just as noisily as they can, and each loud quack, quack, moo, moo would land like a trumpet on the ear, as if to say, here lives a wealthy man. If I were a rich man, all day long, if I were a wealthy man, I wouldn't have to work. All day long, if I were a little man, I'd see my wife, my Goldie, looking like a rich man's wife with a proper double chin, supervising me so hard till I'd see her putting on airs, strutting like a peacock. Oh, what a happy mood she's in, screaming at the servants day and night. The most important men in town would come to fawn on me. They would ask me to advise them, like a Solomon the wise. Pardon me, Reb Tevye, if you please, Reb Tevye, posing questions that would cross a rabbi's eyes. Bye, 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 bye. And it won't make one bit of difference if you answer right or wrong. When you're rich, they think you really know. If I were rich, I'd have the time that I lack to sit in the synagogue and pray, and maybe have a seat by the Eastern Wall. And I discuss the holy books with the learned men 7 hours every day. This the creed I should be what I am? Would it spoil some vast eternal plan if I were a wealthy man? Oh, good. One of the beard stories, true story, I was in Lagos. And in Lagos, Nigeria, the traffic jams are terrifying. You think you got problems here, kids? Nah. Driving in Amman is dancing. Driving in Lagos is warfare. And the traffic jams can go for 3 or 4 hours and nobody moves. So because of this, you are captive. And the streets are filled with hawkers. And they sell raw meat, they sell fish, they sell water, they sell electronics, they sell eyeglasses that they've stolen from people from other cars. It is a buyer's market. So I'm sitting there in my Land Rover one day, trying to get home. It's just before Christmas. And on the side of our cars, we had painted Jesuit Fathers and Brothers Society of Jesus. It helped us get through the police checks. And I had a big, full beard in those days. And so this guy comes up and he says, "Ah, master, buy aftershave, buy aftershave." So I looked at him and I said, "My friend, what would I do with aftershave? Where would I put it?" "Ah, buy perfume for wife, buy perfume for wife." I said, "My friend, I have no wife." I said, "No wife?" I said, "No, I am a reverend father." "Ah, reverend father. Yes, the Pope does not let me have a wife." "Oh, reverend father." "Yes, reverend father." "No wife." "No wife." "Buy for girlfriend. Buy for girlfriend." I wanted to ask him what parish he belonged to, but tragic. There are some parts for which you have to shave. And Sancho in Man of La Mancha is one of them. And I did that show twice. And there was one production, the director was very creative. And one of the things he said was, you know, the best known song in Man of La Mancha is The Impossible Dream. And the baritone comes down center stage and plants himself and sings. And the director said, no. Cervantes is not singing this song. Cervantes is the author. I don't know if you know the story of Man of La Mancha. Cervantes, the author, gets jailed by the Inquisition, and to protect his life so the prisoners don't kill him and steal everything he's got, Cervantes tells them the story that he's writing about Don Quixote. And the prisoners become actors in the play, you know, and it's great fun. So the director said, no, Cervantes isn't singing this song, Quixote is. The old, crazy knight of the woeful countenance. So I want you to sing this song, perform it, as the crazy old man. And the baritone goes, what? This is the big moment. No. And so that's how he did it. Because the director wanted people to listen to the words. Too often they get caught up in the sound of the voice and they forget to listen to the words. And so, Man of La Mancha, Impossible Dream, but Quixote is singing the song. This is a knight's lance. Father Superior, I promise to put it back on the broom on the roof when we do it. To dream, the impossible dream. To fight, the unbeatable foe. To bear with unbearable sorrow. To run where the brave dare not go. To right the unrightable wrong. To love your unchaste from afar. To strive when your arms are too weary. To reach the unreachable star. This is my quest, to follow that star. No matter how hopeless, no matter how far, to fight for the right without question or pause. when I'm laid to my rest, and the world will be better for this. That one man, scorned and covered with scars, still strove with his last ounce of courage to reach the unreachable stars. I have to look and see what we're going to do next. I forget. Sometimes it is fun to take an existing melody and put other words to it. You know the old song, there's no business like show business? Well, I wrote a song once that started out, there's no business like God business, an odd business I know. So this is one of those songs that somebody else wrote in a musical, and being older, I'm older, and sometimes getting older means you forget things. That's why I write down the song. And so this is a song for people who forget things. Midnight, I wake up and remember that I left the door open with the groceries outside. Where the heck did I put my keys? Oh, look, there they are, in the door lock on the other side. Memory, what became of the short term? I remember the old days. I was smarter back then. If I eat fish and do the crossword every day, will the brain cells grow again? I could swear I put my tickets right here in my wallet. Now I'm late. The show starts at 8. I wrote it in my whatchamacallit tank. What did I walk in this room for? Maybe when I was younger, stuff I smoked was impure. Where's the hummus and Wajanak I picked up today? Oh, I left them in Caribou. What was the question? We started off the evening by singing. Yeah, mezza, you're all right. Well, you got another chance to redeem yourselves. And you all know this one. Now, does anybody in the house tonight have a birthday? How about a birthday tomorrow? Christine, is your birthday today or tomorrow? Tomorrow. Anybody else have a birthday tomorrow? What are the odds? Somebody's lying, right? All right. This is Christine, and her birthday is tomorrow, and I think we should sing to her. Now, you ready? Happy birthday to you. Ta-da-ta. Happy birthday to you. Ta-da-ta. Happy birthday. One of the advantages of getting old is you get away with stuff. For several years, I sang with Jazz at Noon in New York City. Very famous jazz group, led by Les Liebert. Les made it to 104 before he died. I sang at his 100th birthday party. He was a saxophone player. He played for 3 hours without sitting down. One of Les's claim to fame was he shot a golf score lower than his age. Now, I'd heard about this, and after I got to know him, I asked him, I said, Les, true? He said, yes. I said, what was your score? He said, let's see. I was 84, so it was an 82. I've never shot an 82 in my life. Maybe I have to wait until I'm 84. But I did get to sing with Jazz at Noon every week for several years. No, I never dressed like this, but I couldn't resist. I wanna get you on a slow boat to China, all to myself alone. Get you and keep you in my arms forevermore. Leave all your lovers sitting on a faraway shore, out on the briny with the moon big and shiny, melting your heart of stone. get old and you forget the words. If you're singing jazz, you can sing scat and they think you're cool. How are we doing? You all right, everybody hanging in there? It's a long night. You gotta be tough. You gotta be tough. Try to clean it up a little here. I'm gonna tuck in. When I first came to Amman, Jordan, I weighed 226 pounds. This morning on the scale, I weighed 172 pounds. Some friends of mine went out and bought me pants. The last time I left, I wore a pair of my old pants because they're really comfortable, right? Got room in it for a friend. I got to the airport, I got to security. And the nice man at security, and I'm wearing the priest's outfit, you know, the Roman color. The nice man at security says, "All right, take off your belt and put your hands over your head." I said to him, "Sir, with the greatest respect in the world, I can do one or the other." He said, "No, you have to do both." I said, "Let me explain." Fortunately, there wasn't a big crowd, so I could, you know. And I said, "Well, I've lost a lot of weight, and these pants, if I put, it's going to fall down." He said, "Take off your belt, put it in the thing, and put your," okay. Pawinga. Well, his reaction was the same as yours. They all laughed. We all got to be friends. So, you know, at Queen Alia Airport, you go through security twice. You got the big one, and then before you get into the boarding area. So I get in line for the boarding area, and I see one of the guys from the front who is now talking to these people. They didn't even make me take off my belt. They said, "Just go through, Father." But my grandmother would be proud. I was wearing clean underwear. When you travel a lot, you learn things. And I've spent much of my adult life in countries other than my native land, and especially since I was ordained a Jesuit priest. And there's a wonderful little song from a show called Carnival. And it's usually sung by a girl, but since I'm not a girl, it's going to be a little different. But she has come to this strange place, and she's talking about it. I came from the town of Mira, beyond the bridges of St. Clair. I guess you've never heard of Mira. It's very small, but still it's there. They have the very greenest trees and skies as bright as flame. But what I liked the best in Mira was everybody knew my name. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Everybody knew my name. A room that's strange is never cozy. A place that's strange is never sweet. I want to have a chair that knows me and walk a street that knows my feet. I'm very far from Mira now, and there's no turning back. I want to find a place. I've got to find a place where everything can be the same. Places I can go, play people I can know, where everybody knows my name. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that? Everybody knew my name. God has a way of sneaking in, and I'm going to introduce him just in case. This is a song from a play, musical by Andrew Lloyd Webber called Aspects of Love. It's a fascinating play. It's completely amoral. I mean, there is no morality in this play at all. But the script is captivating and the music is wonderful. And when I sing, sometimes I like to play a little game, especially with love songs. When you hear a love song, or you sing a love song, forget that it's about a man or a woman. Or a man or a man or a woman and a woman and a man and a goat. I don't know. But forget that relationship and instead put God into the song. And this is one of those songs. The first time I tried it, it blew me away. I love the song. It's a wonderful song. The first time I put God into it instead of thinking of, you know, a woman. Wow. So as I sing it, listen to the words, but let God sneak in too.
Love changes everything, hands and faces, earth and sky. Love changes everything, how we live and how we die. Love can make the summer fly, or a night seem like a lifetime. Yes, love changes everything. Now I tremble at your name. Nothing in the world will ever be the same. Love changes everything. Days are longer, words mean more. Love changes everything. Pain is deeper than before. Love can turn your world around, and that world will last forever. Yes, love changes everything. Live or perish in its flame. Nothing in the world will ever be the same. Changes everyone, live or perish in its flame. Love will never, never let you be the same. Love will never let you be the same. Well, this will be interesting. I promised somebody that I would sing a song in French. Well, I kind of worked on it. I forgot to bring my cheat sheet out onto the stage with me. Now, usually that would not bother me, because when you sing in a foreign language, if you forget the words, you make up words that sound like Italian, or sound like French, or sound like, and usually most people don't know the difference. There are people tonight who will know the difference. We'll see what happens. I have not sung this song for many years, and I dusted it off. So we'll see. I don't know. Except for the 3 encores. I had the privilege for many years of working in the military and then working with the military and veterans. And when you spend time with men and women who have risked their lives, there is an understanding of life and death, and courage that is hard to find anywhere else. Men and women, but mostly men, who have been in combat, who have been under fire, only talk about it to other men who have been under fire, because there's too much else to explain. It's too hard. And this is a prayer. It's from a Broadway show, but it's a prayer. And it's a very appropriate prayer if you have any loved one who is in danger. It doesn't have to be war. It doesn't have to be military. If you have someone you love who is in danger, this prayer is for you. lovers fly, one by one, how soon they fly, on and I am old, and will be gone. Grant him peace, grant him joy. He is young, he is only a boy. You can't take, you can give. Let him be. Let him live. If I die, then I die. Let him live. Bring him home. Bring him home. Bring him All right, this is the last song except for the encores and a couple of announcements. First of all, no, I'll do this first. When you leave, if you've eaten your little boxes of chocolates, please take the box with you. There's a garbage can outside. If you don't want to keep your programs, fine. There's a garbage can outside. You won't hurt my feelings. No, it's just, we want to leave the place clean. Bank Yoletta Hut has been very good to us. They are great supporters of the arts. Yay, Bank Yoletta Hut. They created the string orchestra, the string quartet, the string orchestra. They reach out into the community on a regular basis, so yay for them. The little chocolates you got, present from me, thank you very much. They're wonderful. This place, Victorian Chocolate, they make their chocolate fresh every day. Go see them. You will do a couple of things. First of all, your taste buds will have a vacation. Secondly, you will help a struggling business. I mean, there are a lot of businesses right now in Amman, we all know it, who are struggling. Times are tough. And chocolate, it's a tough business, you know. So anything you can do to help them, yay, that would be great for them, and your taste buds will thank you. Finally, in your programs, there is a little piece of paper. Now, if I did not sing a song that you particularly love tonight, all is not lost. Take that little piece of paper, write your email on it, and name 2 songs you would like to hear me sing at my next concert. And as you leave, there's a box, and you can put those papers in the box. And when I plan my next concert, and I will be honest, I will make the list of songs first. Then I will look at the papers from the box. And if I pick a song that you have picked, you get a free ticket. That's why I get your email. And if both of the songs you pick show up in the concert, you'll get a free ticket. And if 20 people pick the same song, they all get a free ticket. I may go broke on the next concert, but I figured it would be fun, right? So pick the songs you want, put them in the box outside, and that would be great. Now, people who come to Sacred Heart Parish know I have a thing about boxes. It's a big box. It's got my picture on the side, a little cartoon. It's got a big hole in the center, so there's lots of room for your papers. If you wanted to put money in the box, that's all right too. I started off this evening with a song from Peter Pan. And I told you the story about how I went home and cried myself into oblivion. There's a sequel to that, a part 2. My father worked in television and in advertising, and we frequently had famous, quote-unquote, people in the house. Art Carney used to come by the house to play double piano with my father. And apparently, there had been a cocktail party where Mary Martin and her husband, Richard Holliday, had been guests. Now, whenever there was a cocktail party in those days, they dragged out the boy soprano to perform, you know. How much is that dog in the window? Whatever the current song. Well, I had sung, and I didn't know who these people were. They were guests, adults. I sang, I went away. My father got a phone call one day from Richard Holliday, Mary Martin's husband, who produced Peter Pan. And he said, John, we're doing a production of Peter Pan with Mary Martin, with Mary, of course, and Cyril Richard. And young John would be perfect as one of the lost boys. My parents said no. They didn't tell me about it until after I graduated from high school. Now, I love my parents, and we had a very good relationship. I nearly ran away from home. A Broadway show with Mary Martin and Cyril. It took me years, but I finally forgave them. It was a little bit of a revenge. When I was older, I got to book Cyril Richard in a show. He had to work for me, so that was kind of fun. Theater is magic. Theater is wonderful. And theater at its best is a lot like Neverland. And theater at its best is a lot what happens in church. We touch people's hearts, we change people's lives, we give them encouragement, we lift them up. We show them ways of looking at the world that perhaps they have never had before. And this is a song from Peter Pan. I know a place where dreams are born and time is never planned. It's not on any chart, you must find it in your heart. Never, never land. It might be miles beyond the moon, or right there where you stand. Just keep an open mind, and then suddenly you'll find never, never land. You'll have a treasure if you stay there, precious, more far than gold. For once you have found your way there, you may never, never grow old. So come with me where dreams are born and time is never planned. Just think of lovely things and your heart will fly on wings forever and ever, never. God bless you. When my father was getting ready to get married, they got married at St. Patrick's Cathedral in the Lady Chapel. He took his shoes to the shoemaker down the block so he could polish the bottom of his feet, because you'd kneel up at the altar and he wanted the bottom of his shoes to look nice. Years later, I'm watching television with my parents, because in those days there was only one TV set, so the family watched together. And there was a show called The $64,000 Question. And there was this little shoemaker on, and his category was opera, and he won. And that was the shoemaker, God bless you, that shined the bottom of my father's shoes. Patrick's Cathedral, they went over to the Waldorf Astoria for their wedding breakfast. And my father stood up and he announced he was going to sing a song to his new bride. My mother said she was petrified. She wasn't sure he could sing. Well, he did. He sang an old Irish song called The Rose of Tralee. Now, The Rose of Tralee is sung to Mary, the Rose of Tralee. My mother's name was Grace. My father figured singing a song to Mary was not the way to start a happy marriage. So he sang the song to Gracie, The Rose of Tralee. And as I grew up and I heard this story, I thought this was terribly romantic. And so when I started to sing, I always sang The Rose of Tralee to Gracie in honor of my mother. And I figured when I got married, I would sing it to my bride. So now, whenever I sing The Rose of Tralee, I sing it to Gracie in honor of my mother. The pale moon was shining above the green mountain. The sun was reclining beneath the blue sea. When I strayed with my love to the pure crystal fountain that lies beneath the beautiful vale of Tralee, for she's tender and fair as the rose of the summer, but is not her beauty alone that wins me. Ah, no, 'tis the truth in her eyes ever shining that makes me love Gracie, my Rose of Tralee. The cool shades of evening their mantle were spreading, and Gracie, all smiling, was walking with me. The moon through the valley her pale rays were shedding, when I won the heart of the Rose of Tralee, for she's tender and fair as the rose of the summer, but 'tis not her beauty alone that wins me. Ah, no, 'tis the truth in her eyes ever shining that makes me love Gracie, my Rose of Tralee. Sorry about that. I got a little emotional toward the end there. I started thinking about my mother. I sang that song once. I was booked to do a St. Patrick's Day gig at a very well-known bar and jazz club. And it was just me and a pianist. I mean, I was the whole night for St. Patrick's Day, right? So we put together a couple of sets. And my mother came. And my father had died the previous September. And there's my mother sitting at the table in front. And without thinking about it, I started to sing The Rose of Tralee. It was the first time I'd sung it since my father died. I got through it, but only just. All right, let's move along here. You know, that's one of the wonderful things about the arts, music. It doesn't matter how many times you sing something, or recite something, or do a play. If you're any good, you can still find yourself moved by it. And that's why live theater is so exciting. You do the same script, 6, 8 shows a week, and they're always different because the audience is different, you're different, your actors are different. Live theater. All right. Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley's favorite song. Elvis Presley, now if you know the answer, don't yell it out just to show off, you know. Elvis Presley's favorite song was an Italian song. People think of it as an art song, but actually it's really a folk song. But Elvis Presley's favorite song was Italian. Well, he couldn't sing that. You know, he's Elvis Presley. So he wrote words to it. And it became a great hit. So I'm going to sing the original, and you see if you can figure out what the Elvis Presley version was, right? Manna tu sole. No, that's not right. That's the chorus. We'll start at the beginning. Che bella cosa, una giornata e sole, un'aria serena, dopo la tempesta, bell'aria fresca, come già la testa, che bella cosa, una giornata e sole. Anyway, anybody know what the Elvis Presley song was? It's now or never, come hold me tight, kiss me, my darling, be mine tonight. Oh, sole, oh, sole. My mother's maiden name was Mia, Gracie Meehan Sheehan. One of my father's sisters married a man named Jerry Behan. The Meehans, the Sheehans, and the Behans all got together. You can't make this stuff up. The Irish are great for many things. But in particular, the Irish have a gift for finding music to reflect the emotion of pretty much any event that goes on in your life. And this song, which for those of you who like to keep track, is in fact the last song of the night. All right, let's go. This is a song for one of the most emotional, one of the most searing, one of the most heart-wrenching moments in the life of an Irishman. It's a pub closing song. Oh, all the money that e'er I spent it in good company, and all the harm that e'er I've done, alas, it was to none but to me. And what I've done for want of wit, to memory now I can't recall. So fill to me no parting glass. Good night and joy be to you. All the comrades that e'er I've known are sorry for my going away, and all the sweethearts that e'er I've had would bid me one more day to stay. But since it falls unto my lot that I should should rise and you should not. Well, when I gently rise and I softly call, good night and joy be to you all. Thank you. God bless. One last word I forgot. We got to help each other out. Tomorrow night in this very space, there's another concert. It's called A Night at the Opera. It is put on by a wonderful voice here in town, Keiko. Yay! And he is bringing in a tenor from Japan. So tomorrow night, 7 o'clock here, tickets are how much?
$7.80.
$7.30. The tickets are $7, the concert is $7.30. So come and tickets at the door?
Yes.
Tickets at the door tomorrow night, opera.